So I managed to do a little bit of work this evening, but my kids were around the house, so I didn't want to have voice on. So instead, I just kitbashed one of the environments that's going to spawn and be full of gatherables and coral, or at least a mock-up of what it could be, one art possibility. So I'll play that recording now, and then when it's finished, we'll finish solving some of the bugs from last recording. Okay, so earlier tonight I finished this little attempt at a potential style for one of the spawned areas. I'm going to have areas that exist on the map that I'll sculpt out of terrain, but it would be really hard to sculpt 16 or 32 identical areas. If the area is something that I want all players to progress through, like, sort of like a special level that everyone should sort of heal the coral on as part of their progression, or a tutorial experience, or part of their backyard, something like that, then I need it to be a Kitbash thing, not a terrain, so that I can put out enough of these for everybody. So that's why I built this. I'm not sure that this is what I actually want these to look like, but you have to start somewhere. So I'll see how this looks, and things will evolve as I experiment and decide what I like. So I haven't put out any interactive objects in here. It's just a space that you can be in. It's quite large. I can fit a lot of coral in there. The this wireframe is just to show me that, just so that while I was working, I could test out the collision. Again, this probably isn't final. Like right now, I'm keeping you trapped in that box so you can't swim out. But I'd kind of like a more graceful solution than that. But we'll see what I have time for, and what the solutions are available to me on CC. I'm really not sure. I'll have to do some exploration to learn about that. What I'm going to do now is make a template of this and this other one here as well, so that I can access them when I'm ready to. So I'm just going to create a new template for that. I don't know if I mentioned it the other day, but I do try to keep my projects organized. And the other day I did sort these and put everything in. So I have like art in one area. I have this is like the farm. This is the functional stuff. But you can see I have folders for anything that has a lot of categories. And again, for materials, I have them sorted into folders. So it just makes your life easier, especially later when you're getting closer to launch and you just want to clean junk out of the project, so that your project's as slim as possible. Yeah, it just makes life easier. So I've made this. I'll leave it in the art scene for now. And I also made this thing that has the same pivot point that I'm intending to be a gatherable group later. So I do know that I think that is going to need some custom properties on it. So we're just going to... This was a previous gatherable group, right, that we made. So I'm just going to take a look at this here. This always confuses me. So it has a script on it. Maybe that's all I'm going to need. Yeah, okay. In that case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to de-instance this for a second, so that I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put them into here. And I'll just move them, move the rocks around so that I can see them properly. I just need to reference that folder with the script, I think. So yeah, there's the empty reference. And we'll finish that off later. I just wanted it to come up in search, if actually I can leave that there for now. If I decide to set this up in the other level. Now we're going to go back to Coral Town, and you'll remember that we had some problems, some bugs that we hadn't sorted out at the end. I figured them out like 2 minutes after I stopped recording. I was tired, and I tend to make a lot of mistakes when I'm tired, so I didn't think I'd figure them out so quickly, but they were all actually, the issues I had were pretty straightforward. So one of them was just that I forgot to change the starting items. So you know how we were trying to plant the one type of coral, the yellow one, but the green one was showing up, and that one isn't set up, so it wasn't working at all, and I was just having trouble figuring out why. And it was just because in the starting items here, I had the green coral item instead of the yellow coral. So I just put the correct item ID in, and then that worked fine. Another issue that we had was that the holograms were wrong, which I knew what that one was, but I just hadn't got there. That should be in... So I just hadn't changed this column here. It's the placement preview column, and I just had to change it to be the proper seed item, so that's why the wrong hologram was showing up. I also had, I think, just like a wrong drop item set up for one of them. I don't remember exactly, but it was some minor thing like that that I tracked down and found. So if we, signboard for that one's in the wall. I have to do some adjusting on that stuff. So yeah, if we take a look here. So these still need a lot of fixes and improvements, but most of what's left is art fixes, which I'll do in a big batch later. So you'll see I can't place that one there, but I can place it here and it's looking good. This one will work in either, which is as intended. And then more icons that need adjusting here. So you can see we have coral growing in CoralCraft. Very exciting. So now I have some sort of littler chores that I need to do. So I need to fix the icons. I probably want to fix some of the drop sizes on objects. The dead coral state art needs to be fixed so that it's, so that it doesn't require being plunged to the ground. This coral, I might want to just lift it up so that it doesn't look quite so funny, because right now it's like plunging into the ground, right? So it sticks through the net, if you saw that before it died. So I might want to change that as well. This purple one, when we, oops, I just placed a placeable on a placeable. Gonna have to look into that to look at my placement blocker things. So if I harvest this thing, plant a new one. So you can see that it's very, it looks fine here, but when I harvest it, it's like a whole tree, right? So I'm going to have to just use a less accurate version of it for the drop, just so it doesn't look quite so ridiculous. So I might just use the other coral, but put that same material on it just for the drop, just so it looks a little bit better. I'd like it to match, but with Kitbash, you kind of have to compromise a bit. Yeah, so that's the main things that I need to fix. None of those require any special skills or anything, so I'll just do a fast forward video to do all that. And then I wanted to do one other thing though before I start that fast forward video, and that's to change the drop template. We've given you quite a bit of freedom. Like, I know that these videos are a personal time project for me where I'm like talking about CoralCraft, but I was on the team that made the farming framework, and we gave freedom where we could so that you could, as much as possible, change the look of your game to be what you wanted. So if we go into the drop behaviors table, you'll see this thing here called drop item pickup template. So let's go get that. The actual item is called item pickup distance. So we're going to look that up and get that same thing, and we're going to take a look at it. So you can see that that is what causes the sparkles when your loot drops. So the visual style of what your loot looks like is actually determined by this thing, by this pickup. So what we want to do is make one that's more suited to our game, basically. So if we de-instance this thing, I don't really want these like callout sparkles and level V effects in this particular game. It's, I'm going for a different style. The pop sound is probably still alright for me. But what I kind of want is for my loot to be in a bubble. We're going to go here, we're going to pick a sphere, and we're going to make it smaller. This is going to be too big. I don't know if it'll need to be like 0.5 or 0.25. I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll start with 0.5 because I want it to be obvious to people. And we'll pull it up out of the ground. And then we're going to go get a material for it. I love the bubble material like crazy. It's so good. Look how good that is. It's adorable. So we're going to adjust it though because it's a little much. So we're going to hit new custom material, edit. Always change the names of your materials right away so that you remember what they're used for. So I'll just call it loot bubble so that I remember why I've customized it the way I have. So the main thing that's going to be causing the overkill is going to be just the displacement scale. So see, now it's much subtler. Still a bit much maybe. You could, if you're using this for sure, mess around with every slider. That I think it's maybe still changing a bit too much for me. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now when it's got no loot in it. Let's leave it there for now. So that's all great. And we can create a new item from that. But we want to, of course, change the name. I haven't really messed with this enough to know the cases where I might want to change those. So I think I'll just leave them alone for now. This changes what my drop items need to look like a little, right? First, I'm going to take this item that we made and I'm just going to copy its exact position because I want to put a bunch of drops in the same position. So these all look like coral drops, so that should be good. And we're going to paste the same position. So they're all positioned precisely at the bubble. And we're going to adjust them so that when they spawn, they'll hopefully be positioned where we want them to inside the bubble, right? So if they spawn at the root of this bubble, you can see clearly here this this would not work. Maybe we'll start with the ones that we know we've done. So we did the branch corals. So when I decided to do this does kind of mess with one of my plans where I was going to use the drop fragment as the first planted stage. But now if I have to move the drop fragment up in the air like this, I have to use it. I'll have to make a separate template for all of those. So I have to make another template. But these that looks cute, right? Like where it's in a little bubble. So we'll update the template from that. And then the other one we need to do it to is that purple coral. Yeah, which we're honestly probably going to change this one completely anyway. But for now, honestly, it looks pretty cute. Maybe I won't even need to change it because when I scale it down, the material makes it chubby because there's like some, that material changes it looks a little bit funny on the edges though. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to swap that out. But yeah, it makes it like puffier, right? Because of the maps on it. So we have to go back to that drop behaviors table, I believe. Yeah, here it is. And we need to just change this so that it's referencing our new bubble. So we'll just type distance bubble. I'll actually have to make another one for this key press one. This key press one is used if you drop an item on the ground and then someone else can pick it up. That one has to work on a key press because otherwise you couldn't give someone an item, right? Like anytime you put something down, it would be so close to you, you'd automatically pick it up. So if you drop something from your inventory, you have to hit a key to pick it back up to fix that problem. Okay, let's go hit play. And we'll just go into our house. And we'll try growing a coral. Okay, check that out, right? That's good. They're cute little bubbles. Maybe I should make them a little bigger. Not like too much. It's close to what it should be. The stars, clearly. I have to deal with those stars. But, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cute. So first we'll take a look at the bubble. We had that scaled to 0.5. So, I don't know. Let's try 0.75. That feels like it's maybe too big now. It's not like end of the world, but I also don't want to have to keep resizing all the corals that are going to spawn inside. So it'd be nicer to get it, right earlier rather than later. So just make it a tiny bit bigger and see how that goes. Notice that I'm scaling the inner geo folder, right? Before I update the template, I'm not scaling the outer template. This has to stay scaled to 1 with no rotation on it, because when it spawns, that's how it's going to come out. So do your work inside the templates. Okay, let's hit play, go test that out. That's pretty good. Definitely going to have to make it more pop a bit more. Maybe a bubble stream from it, and maybe like a little higher up, so it's a little further off the ground rather than sitting right on the sand, just to make sure they're noticeable. Let's hit play one more time and just see what we have. You should be testing your game as you work a lot. So many things can go wrong, and you know, every single thing you add, you need to check that it's working the way you expect it to. Oops, that's fragment. See that message I've got to change so that it knows that that kind of coral, like which kinds of corals can go in a spot. So there you can see my star in a bubble, and you can see my coral in a bubble. So that's great. I might quickly, I guess I'll try to work on adjusting some of those icons and stuff on camera, and I'll fix all these other drops so they all are set up the same, but I'll speed through all of this. Okay, I just wanted to call out something about what I've done here. So I already mentioned this before, but I know this is a point that has tripped up a lot of people trying to use the icon generator. So I just transformed all of these from the outside, which means that their templates have position and rotation on them, which we do not want. We want it to be zeroed out and the scale of 1. So one way to do that is to only transform from the geo folder, but when I'm doing big batches like this where I want to select 3 of a kind and stuff, I find it easier to do all those manipulations of scale and size from the outside, like from grabbing it out here. When I'm done, for this to work, you need to make sure it's de-instant, so it should be green. Then you can right click and you can hit Reset Relative Transform, Keep Child World Transforms. And if I hit that, watch these buttons down here as I do that, it's going to zero those out and leave that at 1. And what it did was it moved all those transformations onto this next folder inside, onto the geo folder. Then I can just hit Update Template from this and I'm done. I'm good to go. So I'm just going to speed this up again. I'm going to go through, do that all for all of these, and then I can delete them all out of my icon generator. Okay, I've hit play and you can see that those coral fragments are much easier to see now. Maybe I'll make them even bigger than that, but I don't know. And the net thing is also more identifiable. Again, not perfect, but it's fine for now. All the corals we have in, again, are identifiable, and our other net is, so that's fine. I think I'm going to leave this video here for now. I know I still haven't fixed the dead states on those corals, but that's really not an urgent problem. And it is already 11:30 at night, so we'll leave this here, and I'm really not sure what we'll tackle in the next video. Something fun. Maybe we'll like change the outline so it's not yellow. Maybe that would be a fun thing to explore. Okay, see you in the next one.